Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw number 237, another 7 curious, interesting things I saw last week. So as ever, let's crack on. First one is a new word, it's 3D necroprinting, and this is printing with dead things. In this case, the dead thing is a mosquito's proboscis. So there's 3 kind of cool things going on here, unless you're a mosquito, that is. The first thing is it can print small things, so that little goop you see coming out there is about the size of a human hair. Therefore, it's also quite biodegradable and sustainable, again, unless you're a mosquito. So this is obviously organic, and it's cheaper than a normal micro nozzle. So these are what they call bio nozzles. Normal one is about $100, something like that, and obviously these are ultimately almost free, again, unless you're a mosquito. There you go. This is news from China, and this is an update to a law that came out a couple of years ago, and now this applies to influencers talking about serious topics. Now what that means is if you are talking about a serious topic such as finance, health, education, medicine, law, that sort of thing, then you need to know what you're talking about. You need to be qualified. So you do need to now own a diploma or some sort of degree in that subject. If you don't, you will be fined a lot. So it's about £10,000, I think it is, something like that. Now, also, if you own a platform, social media platform where influencers are talking about this stuff, then you have to make sure that you've also made sure they are qualified as well. Now, there are 2 ways you can think about this. One is this is much needed because obviously influence can cause quite a lot of damage because they are often let's say qualified to talk about things. And the second thing is that this is probably also cutting down on free speech because they're maybe cutting down on the voices who can talk about things. Discuss. This is the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League, and this is season 2 of it. Season 1 was obviously 10 seconds between the human car and the AI car, and now it's down to 1.6 seconds. So that was just in essentially the demo race, and this is the autonomous car, as you're seeing, with the lights on top, and the car in the background sneaking up on it. That's a human in that car. That's none other than Danny Kvyat, who is an ex-F1 driver, knows what he's doing around the Yas Marina circuit, as you're seeing here. Started 10 seconds behind, and over the course of this kind of demonstration, then caught up with it. But the autonomous car was still within 1.6 seconds of a human, which is amazing. The second thing that's interesting is they then ran the autonomous race, 6 cars, all on track, all AI controlled, and they ran themselves, which was actually more interesting than I thought it would be. There was drama, they were doing the racing lines, they were doing different lines, and there were some crashes and all sorts of things. So very interesting. Well done to German TUM team who won that one. That was very exciting. This is some quite weird research that came out of the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and they identified aeroplanes quite high up in the sky just using their vibrations that were detected from earthquake sensors on the ground. So an array of earthquake sensors were then picking up the differences in the sounds and correlating it to where the aeroplane might be. They then looked at the data of what's in the sky at that point using sort of Flight 24, that sort of thing. And they therefore said, well, that's a piston aircraft. It's got vibrations like this. It's a turboprop or maybe a jet airplane. And they can then identify the type of aeroplane just from its sonic signature picked up from its vibrations on earthquake sensors. So that's pretty interesting. Now, they don't really sort of talk about why this is interesting in the paper, but I just thought it was really interesting that if you're trying to detect something that you don't know is in the sky, or you know it's in there but you don't know what it is, maybe an enemy aircraft or maybe a commercial aircraft that's had its transponder turned off for whatever reason, and sadly we have seen those and we haven't been able to track them. So this might be an interesting way of doing that. This is an update to Google's AI. Gemini 3 is now released, and it comes with a few quite interesting upgrades. The normal, just the AI part of it has, I think the most interesting thing that I saw was the generative interfaces, which is when you ask it a question, normally you get a text reply, but now it will kind of format it into either a magazine or an interactive website, whatever you find most useful to learn about the subject, which was really interesting. The agents are better and multimodal is better as well. However, they've actually also launched this thing, which is Antigravity, which is a coding app. You download it. It's got an IDE, as we call it in the business, and it helps you code. So it's the equivalent of something like Cursor. Now, you can do this with your native AI in your website. Of course you can, but this is super powerful. What you're seeing right in front of you here is me, and I used 2 prompts, and each one of these prompts was really, really vague. First one I said, create a 3D cube, just so you can do it, and it did it, which is amazing. My second prompt, I just thought I'll just go for it. Can you make it into a Rubik's Cube that can be solved by the user and essentially has a reset button? And it went away. It probably took about a minute to code it, and this is exactly what it did. So I haven't coded a thing. I've just done two very clumsy prompts. So there you go. That's really interesting. If you're into coding, or even if you're not into coding, then Antigravity is probably something that is going to be of benefit. Self-destructing SSDs. So these are essentially hard drives, external hard drives. I don't know why this exists, but you can kind of imagine. So as I sort of joke, if you're a criminal or maybe into finance, or maybe you've just got something you want to destroy when the cops are on you, then this is for you. So this is the T-Create Expert P35S, and it has a little button on it. And now it takes a bit of force. So it takes like literally, a proper force to actually move it into position 1, which means I'm about to erase this, and if you then carry on to position 2, which takes even more force, it will erase the drive. So it will physically erase the drive, start immediately. So there you go. I don't know why you'd use this, but if you do want to use that, then what could possibly go wrong? I thought it was really interesting. It's kind of if you put something really important on it, could you trust yourself not to just click it just to find out what happened? I don't think I could. And finally, we have the Ecoffee Energyband. These, as far as I can see, are absolute nonsense, but there was a lot of noise about them online, so I just thought I'd look them up, and yeah, possibly a lot of nonsense. So what these are supposed to do is be like e-coffee. They give you a bit of a hit and they improve your alertness, and they do this by bringing your sympathetic and your parasympathetic energies, nervous system into some sort of alignment, all that sort of nonsense. But basically what it does is it gives you a small electric shock. So you go a little bit like the dog collars, which, by the way, if you use them, you shouldn't use those for dogs. However, there you go. If you're interested in one of these, then they are $120. I don't think there's any evidence that these actually work, but don't quote me on that because I'm not an expert. I'm not even an influencer. There you go. But e-coffee bands do exist. There you go. If that was interesting, well done. Thank you very much. I'm glad I could be of assistance. If you've not subscribed, you know what to do next, and I'll see you next week.